Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Neil here, and today we're doing something a bit different from usual. I was going through my cupboards back here and trying to clear out some stuff, get a bit of space for some new stuff, and I came across my good old Mooer GE300 here. Looks very space age, and I dug it out and I looked at it and I thought, wow, I never remember it being this big. One thing I do remember about this thing is though how happy I was with the tones that I got out of it. The other thing is that I got a lot of compliments when I was using this thing. It was off camera and you couldn't see what it was, and people were asking me which amp I'm using. I can't see any of your amps in the background, which amp is it? And actually most of the time when I was demoing guitars for Jackson, I was actually using the Mooer GE300. So I thought, I'm going to try and plug this thing in, see if it still works, and test it out, and I was pleasantly surprised. Okay guys, so first of all, before we get on with today's demo, I just want you to check out my Thomann affiliate link down there below in the description. Anytime you go through that link, put anything you want in the search bar, order it and buy it. It really helps me out at this end. Right, so back to the Mooer GE300. So this thing appeared on the channel a hell of a lot. It was a real easy way for me to record videos straight from the effects processor into my iPhone or my camera. I think I was using a zoom camera back then. And then I could hear the tones back at me through my monitors. Now, strangely enough, I was really happy with the tones. They were full, they were thick, and there was a Mark V preset which I had in there, which I used mostly because I figured that was the best. And you guys back then were messaging me saying, what amp is that? It's awesome. And it was just a Mark V preset that I have in my Mooer GE300. Now, cut a long story short, what happened was one day when I plugged my GE300 in, it needed an update. And I think this update is something 4.01 or something like that that's running on at the moment. Mooer stopped updating the GE300, but also when I plugged it in to update it, I lost all my presets and had to redial them in. Fell a bit out of love with the unit, and then there were a lot more new processors coming out that were kind of in the same price bracket, so I just moved on with time, you know, and evolved. I mean, this unit is about 5 years old, something like that. I think about it about 5 years. Mooer didn't send me this. Mooer have sent me plenty of products to demo for you guys, but this was actually bought by me. I bought this this thing outright, and I absolutely love it. And anyhow, cut a long story short, I plugged it in. I went straight back to my Mark V presets, which there are 2 presets in here, and I was shocked. I was blown away. It sounds full, it sounds thick, it sounds heavy, and it sounds just as good as anything else I've used on the channel ever since, in my opinion. Now, I do have the Mooer GS1000 on its way to me, the new one that's stuck in customs somewhere. You know, I don't know what's going on with that. It will be here soon, hopefully within the next week or so, once that's sorted out. But I just thought, wow, you know what, for a bit of nostalgia, I'm going to plug this thing in, see what it's like. It blew my mind. But as I always say, let's see what you guys think. It doesn't matter what I think. Just for the record, though, I checked online and I was quite shocked that the Mooer GE300 has held its price. I think I bought this for around $489 when it was first released. It's now about $519. It's held its price, even though this thing is 5 years old and one of the first products ever to kind of do the Kemper thing, you know, the tone capture thing. It was one of the first to do it, and it did it pretty okay. But the main thing is it's held its price over the years, and that tells me that it's a good product. Like I say, I think Mooer have finished updating it, but I don't know why. Anyway, never mind. Moving on. Let's get on with it. Let's listen to a couple of my presets. I've named them Dual Cali 9C for 9-core, obviously, and Dual Cali Lead 9C, something like that. They're basically just Mark Vs that I've dialed in with boosts in front, but they sound pretty thick. Okay guys, so what did you think to that? Not bad for a 5-year-old machine here. 5-year-old Mooer GE300. I'm pretty sure there's more updates since the one that this is running on. But I always felt like with updates, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, I always kind of had that mentality. And I always believe that an update, I might not like it as much. Once if it changes the tone, you know, I was a bit paranoid. So I did a couple of updates. And then like I said, I wiped the damn thing doing the last one I did. And dialed these tones in and stuck with them for maybe a couple of months, something like that, and then moved on to other processors. But this thing holds its own. This thing is still awesome. I've gigged with this thing, by the way. In fact, the last gig I ever played was using the Mooer GE300. I missed the cab behind me and the oomph. It was hard to get used to because it's not hard if your other guitarist is doing the same and using a processor live, but if your other guitarist is using an amp like mine was, he was using a PV, on stage I missed that boom and I was relying on the sound guy to make sure I was heard, and he 100% did not do that. I kept getting lost in the mix. Made a few mistakes in that gig. But yeah, the point is it sounded awesome out front because I asked people to take note on what it sounded like, and they said, yeah, the low end we thought was coming from the PV. It was actually coming from the Mooer GE300. So pretty cool. Doesn't matter what I think, guys, as always. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to go buy one of these things even though it's 5 years out of date? I guess that's the question as well. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll see you all soon.